Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got a very urgent and important report to share with you guys, and that is this. How about businesses and leading CEOs making political decisions here in the United States of America? And I mean specifically what they're doing is they're pressuring our congressional leaders to do their bidding. This is basically authoritarian control of our U.S. policies by unelected people. Right now, 100 CEOs have gathered together via a Zoom meeting to form a pact, if you will, on how they are going to stand together and voice their opinions against what they're calling voting restrictions. That's their term for it, but it's also known as asking for voter ID. They want to stand against what happened in Georgia, the bill that was passed there by the governor there in Georgia, and what's happening now in Texas and in states all across the country, which is just making our U.S. elections more secure. And I can't stress that enough. Countries all across the globe ask for voter ID. I don't know why we in the United States of America don't do that, but I digress. The problem is these CEOs are not only voicing their opinion against it, they're taking it a step further because they are going to remove contributions basically to Republican representatives and congressional leaders, and they are going to pull investments in factories, stadiums, these kind of things. Basically, it's what the Major League Baseball did when they moved their All-Star game out of Georgia on a massive scale. No joke. Talk about a political divide in our country. Now, as just a reminder, I want to show you guys this, and this is gen6.com. Before I get into the report or anything like that, I am going to be at this virtual conference. It's virtual, so you can attend it right from your home. But Steve Quayle is hosting it, and it takes place June 11th and 12th. I will be one of the speakers there. So make sure you check it out at gen6.com and get tickets for that amazing event. And you can find them in the description box below. On top of that, get on over to Restricted Republic. I am going to put out a bombshell video report. It's so important that I can't even really share the topic with you, but check it out now on restrictedrepublic.com and take advantage of our special offer right now. Get it for $1 for an entire month. You can cancel whenever you want. Use the code DOLLAR when signing up, and that's at restrictedrepublic.com. All right, let's dive into what's going on with this meeting, folks, because there's so much that you need to know about. But this is on businessinsider.com. 100 top business leaders meet to discuss halting donations to politicians who back restrictive voting laws, including in Georgia. Now, the article goes on to state a couple bold points here. Top business leaders meet on Zoom this weekend to map out their response to voter restrictions, also known as voter ID. The Wall Street Journal reported that the CEOs were asked to sign a statement opposing these restrictive voting legislation. The CEOs discussed halting donations to politicians supporting the bills and stopping investments in states that passed the law, the Post reported. Now, let me just put my 2 cents in here. I don't think any big corporation should be allowed to donate, politically motivate, or in any way, shape, or form donate the massive amounts of money that they are to these political people, because then these businesses and lobbyists, if you will, have the power to control or influence our congressional leaders. Just my 2 cents there. I think they should be able to accept them from, individual donors at limited amounts and whatnot. But to have a CEO have their foot in play like they are here, they're now using those donations as a political weapon to seize control, to get the state to do their bidding. That's what this is, right? The article goes on to state this. More than 100 CEOs and senior leaders on Saturday met on a Zoom call to map out how businesses should respond to new voting restrictions that are set to be enacted in Texas and other states across the country. The executives discussed ways to oppose voting laws, which were first enacted in Georgia. This included halting donations to politicians who support the bills and postponing investments in U.S. states that pass the legislation. 4 people who are on the call told the Washington Post on Sunday it included one of the organizers, Jeffrey Sonfield, a Yale management professor. Now, it went on to state that the statement from the new constellation of business leaders could be released as soon as this week, according to the Journal. So apparently this group is going to release some kind of statement, and I'm going to keep my eyes out for that statement because I'm interested in what they're demanding of of our laws and what they're demanding on our election. And why is it that our elected officials can't do what we, the people, elected them to do, right? They're literally putting their power and influence over our leaders, saying, if you don't do this, then we're going to do this. Like it's I mean, I don't know, call it blackmail, call it lobbying, call it, there's lots of names that you can give it. But here's more. This is CBSNews.com. These are the companies that are involved in it, and I found a list here on CBS News. But its first of its kind meeting draws more than 100 corporate leaders to discuss state voting laws. See how they dumbed that down a little bit. But anyway, here are some of the attendees. You have Arthur Bank, NFL. There you go. Of course, James Murdoch, Adam Aaron, CEO of AMC Theaters. We have a law firm. We have Ariel Investments. We have Walmart, Kirby, Scott Kirby. There we have United Airlines. The CEO of United Airlines, American Airlines, chairman of Levi Strauss Company, LinkedIn, and all these companies. Then we have General Motors, Delta Airlines. We also have Viacom, CBS, and all of those are involved. And it says that they invited 120 CEOs with about 50 hours notice, and they paid. Basically, they were praying that they would only have 25, and they got 90 and another 30 invited guests, basically technology experts and whatnot. That's pretty huge, right? But it goes on a little bit and says this, which I think is rather important to add to it. But here it is. It says this. In addition to Sonfield, the meeting was organized by Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, the founding partner of Inclusive Capitalism, LLC, and Leadership Now, and it goes on. But there you have it. A Rothschild now has their head also in this. And again, you guys are well aware of that name, but you can check more information out on Restricted Republic on that. But there it is. Rothschild's involved in this, along with many leading names, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, American Airlines. We have Viacom and all these businesses, Walmart CEOs saying, we're not happy with your voter ID calls, or we're not happy with what you're doing in regards to the election. So we're going to pull our funding. We're going to also remove or basically pull investments on factory stadiums and all of that. This is a manipulation of the people we elected. I mean, this is nuts, folks. And just to show you what I'm talking about here, all these countries, right, either fully or partly require ID, either fully or in part require voter ID. And these are all the countries, everything from Finland, Switzerland, Ireland, Denmark, Turkey, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, all these countries. And you can see the United States of America is not on that list. How crazy. And yet we have CEOs, right? And here's the question that has to be asked. What makes us think that they're going to stop at election integrity or voting restrictions or whatever label they want to get it? These CEOs will then move, if they've been granted the power and the authority and it made something happen in Congress or at our state level, right? If they get the authority and the power and they feel the power to do that, it's not going to be just election laws. It's going to happen with gun laws. It's going to happen with immigration laws. It's going to happen with freedom of speech laws or things that can violate our constitutional rights. They'll make any stand they want. They won't stop here, folks. They won't stop here. Mark my words. It will keep going. What's to stop them from getting involved in our election or getting involved in our education on top of what they're already doing? Education, right? All these things. If a business doesn't like the gun laws, now we're going to take a stand and send out letters and pull our funding from states that have gun laws. Do you see how that works? This is authoritarianism on steroids, folks. We didn't elect these CEOs, and I know you guys are well aware of that, but we didn't elect these CEOs. What are they going to demand next? Cancel culture being taught in our education? Right? This is craziness above and beyond anything I have ever seen. But thankfully, there are some people taken a stand. And I'm not always happy with Doug Ducey, but I'm happy with what he's been doing lately. WashingtonExaminer.com, Arizona governor signs bill forbidding private donations for election operations. And that's because Zuckerberg donated millions in the 2020 election. Millions, folks. If Zuckerberg is donating millions, that's got to have some influence over our U.S. election, right? But thankfully, Doug Ducey is taking a stand against it. And here's what the article states. Doug Ducey signed a bill into law that forbids private funding of government election processes in the state. Amen. And this is what we all have to do, all across the country. And this should be bipartisan. Both sides should really want this. With public confidence in our election, it's in peril. It's clear our elections must be pristine and above reproach, and the sole purview of the government, Ducey said in a signed letter. His announcement comes after Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla donated $419 million to nonprofit groups, including the Center for Election Innovation on Research that helped fund local and state election administration ahead of the 2020 presidential election. And the funds were slammed by conservatives and resulted in a lawsuit that argued federal laws prevent local governments from accepting private donations for such initiatives. So there you have it. Anyhow, I would love to get your thoughts and comments on all of that and your input on it. What do you think about it? And with that, please don't forget to check out my partner at hidewithlisa.com. Look, if you don't have a VPN, you're not listening to my warnings. There are DDoS attacks, hack attacks, the government getting in your business in places that they really shouldn't be getting into. And this is one way that you can confidently search the internet, and that is hidewithlisa.com. What a VPN does, if you're not familiar, it basically acts as if you're searching things on another computer. So check it out at hidewithlisa.com. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. I love you. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow me on BitChute. I'm on BitChute under Lisa Haven and also on Rumble under that as well. I love all of you. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.